te whatalofa atu malo whaaloalo whafonga ale tunu ni tai au. Ma whatasi ma Pesetatamalelagi, Barbara Edmonds. Ia matata no fo inisi fo yo tau manga o ngā ruenga pe o na iei e tono tātou palamene New Zealand nei. Whai fo sina ewa matele i toi whatasi tere le pisi o lana ia fo i ngā ruenga e ngā ruenga o lo whenga i emai o ia leo le so o pule i tūlanga tau tupe, tau tupe ia alpati le leipa. Ia mai tele fo i ona tūtuangi ia pe o na ia whaftai leo mo le avano ne aso matano no ai. Talofa, good morning. Welcome to our studio this morning, Pista.
Talofa, it's nice to be back. It has been a little while. Been very, very busy, as people would have seen.
Oh, I thought at times when I keep seeing you on other media, I thought, I better not pressure her to come because she's busy with other things.
Oh no, Sāmoa Capital Radio always first if you ask. But it's usually on most Fridays I'm travelling the country, so it's nice to be home.
Mon whaafonga le tunu nei fo tai au lo mato whaatasi nei le mato ofisa mamatua potua a o Pista le sunga ia se lani poi ia male faltua ia la sela ia o tua ana o Pista o le ana o mai whaatasi nei le la mato whiroa i tono putu whasa o le mato ofisa nei ia o le fo i lai whaalongolongo mai mat whangongo le la whalitai au le tata noi fo i mbalu le tunu. It's nice to bring your parents, nice to meet them.
Yeah, they wanted to be whaikakala and come today. But they're very, they're down today because my campaign launch for my new seat for Keneperu is tonight at the Cook Island Hall in Cannons Creek. So if you'd like to come to the launch, it is our fundraiser, so it's $50 entrance, but very good entertainment. My Laumea family is doing the mea ai as their mea lofa to me in the campaign. And so it's going to be a very busy night tonight. So that's why my parents have come down, and it'll be a very good party in Cannons Creek tonight.
Very good. Oh, well, let's come and talk some things about the politics, the things that you're involved with. All week and during the last few months, we've been following all the big stories from government and what's happening in politics. And this week has been quite a bit of scrutiny, with some of the things happening. And given you were the chair of the Parliamentary Select Committee, you know very well how that operates inside government. Perhaps you can talk about some of the highlights that you witnessed during the week.
Yeah, so it's a new thing for this term of government, so Parliament. So this first time ever, these 3 years. There's 2 weeks set aside in the year for what they call Parliamentary Scrutiny Week. This time it's always sort of about a month after the budget, and it's the opposition's opportunity to scrutinise the minister and the budget papers. So you'll right throughout all the different select committees, Justice, Government Administration, the Transport Select Committee, the Finance one, which I sit on, opposition MPs from Labour, Te Pāti Māori, the Greens, have been questioning government ministers around their spending. Some of the interesting elements that have come out from that, for example, in my area of finance, is that we also get to speak to Treasury. Treasury confirmed in our meeting on Wednesday that if some people remember the pay equity claims, correct, yes. So that's for those workers in aged care sector, who plunket nurses, teachers aides, librarians. What Treasury admitted was that they have no money put aside for what they call funded sector, so the money that government gives to the funded sector, such as aged care workers. So, a lot of our Samoan women work in aged care sector and a lot of retirement homes. So their pay equity was cut last year by the government, but this year the government confirmed there's no money in the account sitting there in the books. So that's, for me, is irresponsible as a government. They should have money set aside for it. So it proves that they don't. Pay equity is not a priority. They don't care about working women lifting up their pay. So for our Samoan community who are teacher aides, who are plunket nurses or in the aged care sector, they won't be getting their pay equity under this government. That's clear. You would have also seen Karen Chaw. She is the Minister for Children. She runs these things called boot camps, where they take a handful of young people who have been doing crime and offending. She was questioned on how the latest boot camp is working, and she wouldn't admit how many children are still in the boot camp, and yet the government is still rolling out the legislation for it. So it's been quite a failed experiment by the government. You still see the children that they put through this program are still reoffending, or if they're not reoffending, they're leaving the program. But when the government puts their legislation through, there'll be no choice. So it's ineffective. It's a waste of millions of dollars. So that's what Scrutiny Week's about, is being able to pick through, understand different issues and different portfolios, and being able to ask Minister a question.
Yeah, and I think also the BMU, BC, what do you call that, biometric thing that's been...
with immigration.
Immigration.
So there was a failed project for that, so that's about $33 million.
Correct.
So lots of different, you can ask lots of different questions, but it's really around the budget and how the government treats your taxpayer dollar. Yeah.
Mo whawhaonga tato no le uti fol tato taimil tai o nei whamaruru ato le la whaua pele matanoanga i ngan whaperitania. I nei le steimi e o whaalidiwa ato le o tato tanoanga nei. A pe ta mo le matanoa nei e whaatau le vai aso nei pe o le whainga whapanamene le wei nei. E mawhai e ona sue ia minister, ia malato ofisinia fo i tono panamene. Inisio mata opo e fia malama ia lato fo i tuangai ma inisio whaipule. Matato malama i fo i le lana tana no e whapito le vaenga lea le pay equity. Wai to tele o tato tangate ta ua le vaenga lea o tutongi e mau lalo mo tato tangate whainga ruenga. Inga ruenga ese lea iei o a o ngā mata o whaingo kuka o whaingo tangata matatua o vanga pena. Ia o vaenga nao le fi na waila tō nei ia tauna iei. There was that fair pay agreement that you people put in. And then the new government, they came in and repealed that.
Yeah, last year.
Yes.
They cancelled it overnight. They brought in legislation. And as a result of that, the government apparently saved $11 billion. So just to be clear, that $11 billion would have gone to these workers to lift their pay. But the government took that money and spent it somewhere else.
Right.
So we know where they've spent it. They've given it to landlords. Yes. They've given it to tobacco companies. They've got a gas underwrite. They're looking at a LNG gas storage system that they're looking at. So that's where, if you're wondering why your pay has not been able to increase for those women in those sectors, it's because the government hasn't done. There's been no more pay equity claims since they put that legislation through.
Yeah, I've always wondered how much it costs the public sector services to all the planning and all the research done to get to the act being passed in Parliament. And then you have another government come and repeals it. Yeah,
it's a lot of what economists or, the people that sort of do theory on this call sunk costs. It's a waste.
Yes.
It's gone. It's just like the ferries. There's a va'a that goes between the North and the South Island. Nicola Willis came in and she cancelled that ferry. That was $525 million. The ferries would have been here next year.
Correct.
Instead, they had to buy new ferries at 600 million, so more.
Yes.
And they're smaller, and they won't come for another 3 years. So it's all this stupid decisions which lead to waste of money, which is why the government, with this year's budget, there was nothing there for people who are struggling with the cost of living. And it just shows where their priorities are, which is not for everyday New Zealanders. At the moment, it's for their own projects.
Right. We'll talk more when we do the translation. But what are some of the starting of the election campaigns at this point in time?
Yeah, so I think the first key message is that the government again changed the law, and anybody that wants to vote you have to be enrolled by October 25. If you are not on the roll and registered to vote, you cannot vote. The last time anybody can turn up on the day and enroll and vote. Not anymore. The government changed that. The Electoral Commission estimates about 100,000 people won't be able to vote as a result of that change. So anyway, so that's my number one message to your listeners is enroll to vote. You can come down to my office in Porirua next to KFC. We've got forms there if you don't know, or go to vote.nz, vote.nz, and you can update your details online.
Yeah.
The second key message is that if you're here in Porirua, in Tawa, in Johnsonville, and when I say Porirua, Porirua East and Porirua West, so Titahi Bay, Takapuwahia, Alston, you are now under the new area of Kinapiru. There is no more mana. So mana is gone. They've changed the boundaries. So you're now in Kinapiru. So I am the Labour candidate now for Kinapiru. So that area now covers East and West Porirua, Linden, Tawa, Glenside, Churton Park, Johnsonville, and a little bit of Newlands as well. So that's all Kinapiru. So it's a big shift for me to move south, because before I used to go to Kapiti.
Right.
Yeah. So big shift south. So, you can check that all online as well, vote.nz. And then the third thing, the major thing for us is the Labour Party. We understand for a lot of our people, the major issue for them is the cost of living. It's hard to pay for petrol, it's hard to pay for food, all the bills, the electricity prices have gone up by 20% in the last 2 years. So what our focus is for policy, when we talk about policy, it's about your job, your home, your health, and helping you with the cost of living. So we have released a number of policies. The first, just after budget, the first one after budget was a fare cap. So $20 is all you'll pay a week if you use public transport. So bus, a train, or a ferry within the Wellington Inner Harbour. So the most you'll pay a week now is $20. And so it doesn't matter whether you live in Porirua East or you live in Johnsonville or you live in Kapiti, it's $20 the most. The other, obviously, we've got 3 free doctor's visits, which if we win, that's what we roll out. We've also announced that your prescriptions will now be free. So we used to have that policy. The government came in and they got rid of that. We're bringing that back. And the other major, especially for our Pacific women, is free maternity scans. So, when they go to the scan to check their baby, that's now free, because there's actually there's charges on top of it. So, we're looking at practical cost of living to help people with their everyday costs, and we believe that especially in health, if you can keep your people healthy, it means it helps everyone in the long run.
And are you looking at, because you used to have the free year for education? I mean, you used to pay the...
Fees free, fees free. So that's one thing that the government used to pay for their budget. We're still working through our tertiary education and student support policy, so we'll make it clear a little bit later this year.
Sure.
So between now and the election on November the 7th, you'll start to see Labour talking more about what we're going to do and announcing our policies.
One of the issues that people keep talking about is the capital gains tax. Where are you with that? Are you... Yeah,
so we announced that last year in October. So we are bringing in a capital gains tax. It'll only apply to your second or other homes. So your main home won't be subject to it. So 9 out of 10 New Zealanders won't be subject to a capital gains tax. It comes in from 1 July 2027, and it's only for the profit you make from that date. So if you bought your house 10 years ago, all the profit between then and July, we ignore it. But from 1 July, any profit you make after that, you will be taxed 28% on that profit. But again, 9 out of 10 New Zealanders, your main home won't be covered under capital gains.
So if I buy a property now, say $500,000, and then I sell it on the 2nd of July next year, that's when
So we'll only calculate the profit you make from 1 July to the 2nd of July.
Okay.
That's it. Not from this year to the 2nd of July. It's only from 1 July. That's when the timer starts from there. Yeah.
Okay. And what will be the percentage for that?
So that's at 28% and just the profit, and only from profit made from gains made from 1 July. Yeah. And so that's why through that additional money coming in through the capital gains tax, that's how we can afford to pay for 3 free doctor's visits, free prescriptions, and free maternity scans.
Right. So health obviously is important, then education, and then the cost of living, you know, for people. People on pension now are complaining because whatever they get in increase is not keeping pace with the cost of, like, if you're paying rent or your rates, and that those can keep going up far more than inflation rates.
Yeah, no, rates are definitely well up from so inflation at the moment is around 3.1%. Rates are definitely not at 3.1%. So you would have seen for a lot of areas it's in double digits, you know, depending on which area you're in. So rates are definitely up, you know, but it's not just pensioners, it's everyone is paying more. So you would have seen as well with petrol prices had gone up, you know, really fast since February because of the conflict in Iran, but that's now, you know, they've come back down a little bit. But until this conflict stops and the ships can go through that strait in Hormuz, then petrol prices, it's going to take a while. So it's really important that that for Labour, this is why the cost of living is our number one priority for when we do our policy announcements. Yeah.
Something we discussed in the morning program today about this gentleman in the police force who's now a listed member.
Yeah, Rakesh Naidu.
And they're having a go at him for not telling the police earlier.
Yeah, and it's really disappointing because you know, it was once he knew he had a position in the Labour Party, that's when he let his boss, you know, he'd already told his boss days before. But either way, you know, we've had 3 different race commissioners come out. We've had a lot of the ethnic community support come out, basically saying Rakesh is a man of integrity and professional and very respectful. What the Commissioner of Police and the Minister of Police are doing is, you know, abhorrent. It's not good. But, you know, a little bit, but that's Rakesh, so he's a very senior police officer. He comes in at number 13 on the list. But actually more local, we have some new Pacific list candidates. One is Henrietta Hunkin Tangaloa. You know, many people will know her father, Alfred Hunkin. Yeah. So they'll know him for obviously doctor from the Victoria University as well as, you know, lots of things. So Henrietta is, she's a Pacific Director of Health. She's involved with Pacific Connection, New Zealand Choral Federation, the Barbershop Federation. She's, you know, born and bred here in Porirua, and so she's going on the list. She's not running on a seat, but Henrietta is a really welcome addition to help us with our campaigning and our team.
Very good. Her dad, Nganwan Mana, was the first chair of this trust.
Yeah, so
that's your former Lamour Trust.
So we will connect you with Henrietta. She can come and introduce herself on your show. Yeah.
No, that's good. It's good to know that she's actually put her hand up. It's not very easy for people to go, and given the social media attack people get these days.
Oh yeah, it's
put people off.
It really does, and it's also hard for people that, you know, there's a lot of pressure on an MP, not just your on social media, but also your family life, you know. And she's obviously a very senior health professional, so she's giving up a lot to campaign for the Labour team. We need to get, you know, what we need to do to push to Henrietta to get in is the vote, the party vote. I mean, it's just easy. It's just 2 ticks Labour.
Your campaign strategy. Obviously, you're busy with your work, looking at all the budgets and stuff. And you'll be drip feeding some of this policies as you're getting close to the 7th of November. So obviously, there'll be some things that come closer to the day of the election. that you're still trying to finalise?
Yeah, we still we have basically between now and the election, you'll have people will be able to see what Labor's views on housing and education, what we're going to do to help create jobs, support job growth in New Zealand, cost of living measures to help bring down people's bills to make New Zealand more affordable. So yeah, we'll start to roll that out between now and the election. It is strategic. It's we don't just put everything out at the same time. And so we're it's very calculated as to when we put things out. And then the other obvious for me as the finance spokesperson is the fiscal plan, which is basically how Labour will treat the books when we get in.
And what are you envisaging in going forward if you were to become the Minister of Finance?
Well,
with the budgets and the money, there's a bit of a deficit in there at present.
Yes, there's a deficit, and we should have been in surplus next year. So when Labour left the books, our surplus is next year. This government has pushed it out under that old measure for another 3 years. So, and that's because of their spending, because they spent so much. But people always say to me, "On what?" I haven't seen anything change for me. So they've spent a lot of money. They've borrowed more than Labour, except at the height of COVID. We did borrow a lot for COVID. But you'll see from Labour, like, where do we have our debt ceiling? How do we get back to surplus? So all those kind of things that you do with the books. But ultimately, every political party and every government has a choice. It's always fiscally constrained. Everyone knows at home that it's, when your money runs out, your money's run out. So but you always have to make a choice. And so for Labour, our focus is those key areas around cost of living, helping people into work, helping them with their health, supporting them with their homes. Those are our key areas, and that's where you'll see policy. And for every single one, it's my job is to make sure it's costed. We know how much it's going to cost, and then to put together my fiscal plan or the Labour budget that we will take when we come government in November.
Right. Let's come back with the time left. Talk about your campaign. What's the plan? So you got the launch tonight? Yeah,
we got our launch tonight at the Cook Island Hall in Cannons Creek. Should be a very, very good night. We've got the two Cook Island dancers who went to the Cook Islands for the World Competition. Yes. So they're going to be performing tonight. We've got Pacific Connection, who's our number 3 in the world for barbershop choir, that Henrietta is their conductor. So they'll be performing tonight. We also have the Anamoa dance group. We have my wonderful Loa Mea family who are doing all the mea is their mea lofa for my campaign. So tonight is a big night, a celebration for the launch. And then, but what we've been doing for the last month, which most people are not aware of, is we've been knocking on doors. So we've done Johnsonville, Newlands, we've done Titahi Bay, and we've done, I think, Ranui as well. This weekend is a very big day of action on Sunday, because we find that most people are home on Sundays. So on Sunday, you'll see a lot of Labour people out in Cannons Creek. They'll be knocking on doors, just making sure people are enrolled to vote, make sure all their details are up to date, and, talking to them about their issues. So we do door knocking, so face-to-face, and then we also do phone banking. So every second Thursday, our team we've got a group of people, volunteers, who help ring up. We've got call lists, and they ring up people and they ask them, are you enrolled to vote? Will you vote Labour? What are the issues that matter to you? So the campaign is well underway now, and so we just kind of do door knocking, phone banking, campaign launch. I have cottage meetings with smaller groups of people in their homes, about 10, 12 people. And then, my work in Parliament, and then as the finance spokesperson, making sure I cover the country and meeting businesses and unions across the country.
And you try and squeeze in some sleep.
Yeah, somewhere. Somewhere in there. It is very full on, but it's for me, what really fuels me is our people. I'm very privileged. I'm very privileged that they asked me to stand for them, to represent them. They've voted for me. So yes, the job is hard, but that's the job that one that I've been blessed with, and obviously I'm capable of doing, but that our people want me to do. So as long as people want me to do this, then I'll be there.
Well, all the best. Perhaps you can give your final message for all the people listening now, Barbara.
Yeah, my very key message is, please make sure you're enrolled to vote. You know, the changes the government has made makes it very hard for people who move houses or change their details to ensure that they're enrolled to vote. Because the last thing you want is that it comes to voting time and you can't vote because you're not registered.
What about the people overseas? There's a few of us now going back to Samoa.
A lot of people overseas. If you go to vote.nz, so vote.nz, you can go on there and find the information for voting from overseas.
Yes.
There's some criteria, which is you've come back to the country a few times, but you can vote from overseas. So our Australian family, our family in Samoa, those in America, across the Pacific and Europe, they can still vote. They just need to go to vote.nz to find out the criteria.
Right. Good luck and all the best, and they will catch up again in
very
the near
soon.
future. Ole tato por kalame na mo fafonga ngale tunu.